Record. Oh, and she even talks.
I know that new. Oh, that's right. I got to update the latest Zoom. If you don't update, it starts to fuck with you.
Just like everything else in technology. Here we go. Welcome back to the DK Project. Holy smoke, sports fans. We have got a legend on the line. We were just talking before we got on the air. This is a certified legend. I can't even believe the things we're going to have to go over. We've got you zooming in from where? LA today?
Yep, Los Angeles is my office.
Everybody, we have got Kenny Aronoff on. And am I saying that right? I always get nervous right at the last minute. Legendary drummer. This guy's played with everybody. This is the part that I like. But now that we've peeled back the onion skin a little bit, there's a lot going on here. This isn't just drumming. This is legend. I mean, what an arsenal. Your resume must be like a small Bible. It's thick, man. You got it all going on. How are you today, brother?
I'm good, man. I'm excellent. I'm good.
I just love the idea. We were talking before we got on the air, and you're going to be playing with the Bodines this weekend, not far from where we're located here in the Minneapolis. And so do you do a few dates with them? How do you where do we?
Well, I've been actually playing with them on and off longer than anybody else. In 1988, when Mellencamp decided to quit touring for a second, I started doing becoming a session drummer, and their home album, the Bodines home album, was done in Milwaukee. So I started playing with them and recording, and then I started playing live shows, and then I'd go back to Mellencamp, and then I'd go back to the Bodines, and it's been that way for like 28 years. And so when this pandemic was kind of lifting, I was going to go on a world tour with Joe Satriani, and that got pushed back to next year. And all of a sudden I was available to do Fogarty and Bodines dates. So that's what I'm doing right now, in between recording, recording sessions and speaking events. I'm going from the Bodines gig in Skokie, and then in Wisconsin, and I'm going to go to Myrtle Beach and deliver I do these teamwork speeches at some convention. A corporation hires me, and they have like a week-long convention. I'm the guest speaker.
Well, and this is at KennyAronoff.com. You can see all this stuff. So Aronoff.com.
Yeah. That's right.
Tell me about the public speaking now. I mean, you've got so much. Let's start in the beginning though. So you started off with like some jazz, and you were like playing, and then all of a sudden you pick up with Mellencamp. Was that your first big run?
Well, that's the first big run, but the real story is like I'm a little kid. I grew up in I was 10 years old playing outside with my twin brother, and we grew up in a real small town of 3,000 people. Grew up in like an old country farmhouse in the hills of Western Massachusetts, and there was nothing on TV to watch. So we were always outside. My mom screamed at us one day to come in the house when we thought we were in trouble, which was usually the case. And when we got in there, she's pointing to this black and white TV set, RCA TV set with the rabbit ears to get better reception. The old days. Box. Yeah, and there was the Beatles were on TV. It was the Ed Sullivan Show, and so when they started playing, I'd heard rock and roll, but I'd never seen it. I was flipping out, and I just literally was so exhilarated, so amazed, and I before I even knew what these words meant, I realized that's my purpose in life. That's what I want to do. I want to be part of a band of guys, a team of people playing together, making music like they are. And I didn't know who they were, where they were from, but I knew I wanted to be doing that. So I asked my mom, who are these guys? And she says, well, they're the Beatles. And I went, well, I want to play with the Beatles. Call them up. Get me in the band. I'm 10 years old. And I said, and forget about the piano lessons. I want to play drums. Yeah. They look cool. They had the long hair. They were in suits. They were cool. I never seen anything like it. So, but here's the cool thing. 50 years later, I get called to do a CBS special called The Night That Changed America, honoring the Beatles for that Ed Sullivan Show that 73 million people in North America saw. And now I get to perform with Paul McCartney and Ringo Starr, the two remaining Beatles. And not only that, but Stevie Wonder and Joe Walsh from the Eagles and James Young and Jeff Lynne from ELO, Dave Grohl from Foo Fighters. Yeah, I mean, it was insane. And there was a moment after I played 9 different artists. There was like 30 minutes left in the show, and I went into the arena to look for my wife, and there are these elite seats. Tom Hanks, his wife, Ringo Starr, his wife, Paul McCartney, his girlfriend, George Harrison's widow, Yoko Ono, which is Lennon's widow, Johnny Depp, Sean Penn, and Tom Cruise. And they're all like there, and I'm like, wow. But Ringo's applauding. And I played with him the night before at the Grammys. And 2 weeks prior to that, we did double drums at this event. They were honoring him. But I never had that moment where I could say what I was about to say. So it's been a long day, 12-hour day. And I get down on one knee trying to think of what I'm going to say because everyone's looking at me. And he says, "Oh, man, that's okay. I'm already married." It was like, so like Ringo. That. So what I told him was, I said, dude, you're the reason why I play drums, and you're the reason why I play rock and roll. And you and the Beatles set me on a course at age 10 that I've been on ever since. And I just want to thank you.
Man.
Thank you.
That's and amazing that you get to meet him down the road like that. So now I don't know if Ringo listens to my podcast. I don't know. I'm going to say no.
I'd say
so
no.
If you had to pick under the table, listen to you, I'd say no. So if you had to pick under the table between you and I, who's better with the sticks? Who are you going with? If you're a gambling,
but I don't know that you played the drums.
No, so. Ringo or you, not me. I don't know. Sticks would run the other way. You or Ringo, if you had to pick.
Oh, 2 different drummers. I mean, that'd be like trying to pick what's tastes better, an apple or an orange. I mean, they're both great. Ringo's got a style. I'll tell you, man, when you start playing next to him, holy shit, it became even more clear.
Really?
What a unique, special feeling drummer he has. I listen to Sirius Radio, the Beatles channel a lot, and I'm stepping back. I've heard those songs for my whole life. I'm stepping back and listening to just time and groove between all the musicians in that band. It is uncanny how they all play this with the same feel. You know, it's like, it's ridiculous. I mean, rhythm guitar is really the hi-hat and the snare drum. And George Harrison, whoever's playing rhythm, and Ringo are totally in the same sync. And trust me, I'm an expert at this. And when they play like an eighth note thing, like do gaku goo, they all do it the same way. When they sing, it's all fluid. It's like and they were young when they did that. And we're talking, there were no Pro Tools.
I was going to say, what do you think what do you attribute that to? Are they all just you cut from the same cloth? I mean, what?
Yeah.
How do you see that with other musicians that gel like that?
Yeah, Zeppelin did, but these guys were really tight with great feel, perfect time, great feel. I don't think they recorded with click tracks. They had no editing skills. Like there was no Pro Tools. You had to get full takes. They even back when they started, I think they were recording on 4 tracks. That means you would record everything on 3 tracks, then bounce it all down to 1 track. That means you couldn't change anything. Once you bounce 3 tracks to 1, you're stuck with that. Then they'd have 3 more open tracks. Then they would record on 2 other tracks and then bounce the thing they had bounced to 1 track and these 2 tracks to another track. You're making commitments with sound, time, everything.
Sure.
You know, can you imagine they have to project how that will end up sounding on a record and on the radio. And they had to learn, well, if we do this will work later on. If we do this, they had to look ahead. Wow. Dude, everybody gave Ringo a hard time back then because you see, back then before rock, it was jazz. And so you had Buddy Rich, Gene Krupa, Louis Bellson, all the great jazz drummers out of New York, Elvin Jones, Philly Joe Jones, Joe Jones. I mean, these guys had chops. I mean, they had so much technique. And so everyone was like, "Oh, Ringo can't play." Well, I'll tell you what, man, he came up with parts that I would never in my wildest dream come up with, like on Come Together. Ride cymbal and kick drum, then go over the hi-hat. Who the hell? I would never have done that. Where did he get that? Or this song, what's it called? The beat is like what? I would have gone, I would just play the hi-hat all the way through. Where did he come up with that
So
stuff? You know,
in those scenarios, then in any band that you deal with, is it the drummer writing the drum parts, or do they come to you and say, "Here's what I'm thinking I hear. Can you
well,
polish it?"
yeah,
Or is it like come up with something?
it's both. Back in the day, you know, John Mellencamp, I played on all the hits except for I Need Lover, and because I wasn't in the band yet, but he would play a song on acoustic guitar, and then he'd look at me and go, "What do you got?" I mean, it's scary because you have to understand, when I recorded Jack and Diane, that was the first album, American Fool, I played drums on, and Jack and Diane went to number one, and I had to come up with, I programmed the machine, I had to come up with that solo on the spot in one day, or I thought I was going to be fired again. And so but that song went to number one, made him millions of dollars. See, back then when you were number one, there was only two charts. It was the album charts and
Yep.
the singles charts.
Yep.
Nowadays, somebody will say, "Man, I'm on 20 number one hit singles." Yeah, those charts are like, all you have to do is sell 50 records and you're on the charts. I mean, it's not the
It's not the
same as
same.
back then. If
No.
if you were number one back then, you're competing against the Who, you Zeppelin, the Beatles, the Stones, Tom Petty, Elton John, Billy Joel. That's who you're competing against. Now, these other people that are on these other charts, they're not competing against shit, you know.
No,
So you could be number. So
on that side
well,
of it,
back
too,
then,
though,
man.
they got to go out and get that album. Like right now, I could download any album.
Oh yeah. Oh, of
They
course.
got to
Well,
like physically go get it, which that
that was
alone doubles the numbers. Just the fact
yeah.
that they're
It
putting the
was
energy into it.
well, yeah, exactly. So, but you know, there wasn't a lot. I mean, I'm so old. There wasn't, like I said, there was a black and white TV set. So to get it on my one speed fat tire bike with a basket to go downtown to get the album was like fantastic.
Oh,
I
to
loved it.
PA.
Oh man, it was. And so anyway, so John, after Jack and Diane went to number one, why wouldn't he say, "What do you got, Kenny?" So every time he played a song, he wanted me to come up with a beat that would direct that song into a hit. And I came up with a method because I was crapping in my pants every time. Because, see,
A
to
lot of pressure.
solve a lot of pressure to solve problems takes creativity, and everybody in a band has to contribute. Everyone. John demanded that. I mean, John was like, he'd say, "Listen, you guys, I write the same songs. I need creative and innovative parts from you guys to get these songs on the record, to get them on the radio. And Kenny, if somebody has a better beat to play than what you're playing, you play it." And everybody in this band does not own, you don't own your instruments. We all play each other's instruments. We need hits, we need parts. And he walked out of the room, and I thought, what a jerk. But I mean, his delivery sucked. But I look back now and go like, wow, how the hell did he know that? That's like a Bill Belichick with the Patriots type of talk. You know, I'm like really looking at, it's all teamwork. It's all, we have, if we get a number one hit single, we won the Super Bowl. Everybody
Right.
gets a ring. So anyway, there was a lot of pressure, and this is what I came up with. So I thought, okay, it's like, he's going to ask me, he's playing this song. I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do? How can I reinvent the wheel? So I went the other direction. When he played the song, I go, okay, what's the most obvious beat in the world? I'm not going to play that for him, but it's a starting point. Then I go, okay, now how can I embellish that beat a little bit, make it a little different? And then a little bit more different, then completely think out of the box. And that's how I came up with beats. I'll give you an example, Crumbling Down. That album, came after American Fool. The album is done. We got the Authority song, we got Pink Houses, and a couple of them. John calls me up one day and goes, "Hey, Aronoff, what are you doing?" I said, "Practicing." I'd practice 8 hours a day, And he go, "Hey, listen, I just wrote a single. It's going to be the first single on the album." I went, "What? But the album's done. It's mastered, it's mixed." He says, no, we need a lead-off single. We need a lead-off single. See, John was still trying to be creative, even when the album was done, for fear that he'd lose his record deal. Because back then, if you're as good as your last song or last
Right.
album.
For sure.
So John, I'm going to come over in 20 minutes. I'm crapping in my pants. So he says, and wouldn't you know it, he walks right up to me and says, "Listen, this song's a hit. Don't F it up." I'm like, "Oh, no pressure." So he's sitting real close right in front of me because I was renting a house. and he starts playing Crumbling Down, acoustic guitar. Gung, 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 dun, 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 got. I remember sitting with my fingers. I'm at the drum set, but I didn't even have sticks. And I thought I could go doosh ga do do da. Nah, we've done that before. Doosh ga do ga do nah. The floor tom boom boom ba boom boom, but it sounded a bit too powwow. And eventually, I thought let me do something they've never done. So I go the bass drum, boom boom ba, and then on the snare drum, boom boom ba boom 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 ba boom 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 ba boom chicka, and the chick is on the hi hat. Usually you always play the hi hat, but I did it. I put it right in the hole. Boom boom ga dum boom da dun 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 chicka dun dun dun. It was different. I'd never. It's simple, but different. John likes different, and
Good.
he didn't say nothing. And if he doesn't say nothing, that means he likes it. Because if he doesn't like it, he'll let you know. And so, and the other thing is, so that set, like, kind of like, this is exactly what John's looking for. It was a creative, unique beat that he had never heard, definitely not on his records. And then from there, I could build it, because then when I went into the pre-chorus, I started adding the hi-hat, and then I do a fill, and then it's the chorus, where the walls come tumbling. Now I'm going, God, boom, boom, God, boom. And so now you've got these parts that lift the song, and then it comes back down again. And this is the way I did it with John and onward. But nowadays, since I have my studio, Uncommon Studios LA, when when downloading started, record sales went into the shitter.
Yeah.
Nobody was selling records, so the budgets went. I had drums. I was living in Indiana. When I left Mellencamp, I stayed there, and I had drums in LA, New York, Nashville, Germany, and Japan, and people would fly me all over the world because there was so much money. But when the records, listen, I'm on 3 albums that sold over 40 million copies. Meatloaf, Bad Out of Hell 2 with I'll Do Anything for Love, but I won't do that. 2 Celine Dion records. Now, the record labels are making like 82 cents on the dollar, basically. 82 cents times 40 million is a lot of money. So they can afford to put you in the big studios, and, it's just like fly me first class, hotels, cars, per diem.
Everything. Man.
Yeah, it all went away. So I moved to LA. And I took all my drums out of New York, Nashville, and Indiana, moved to LA, and got a studio. And now people send me like a file. Either they'll send me a Pro Tools file, and I can just open it up, and there's everything. Or if they don't have Pro Tools, they send me like an MP3 of the song, and I ask them to send me the song with the drum part that they made the demo with. And I sit right there. I'll show you something. This is what I do. I write every single note out.
Oh my gosh. Come on.
And not only that, but I've learned how to, that's what I got for my education, studying classical music for 5 years at Indiana University. But I write every note out, and I can make it sound like I'm not reading. That took like 25 years. Just being able to write fast. I could write that in 30 minutes and then play it exactly note for note what they sent me. And so that's a starting point, because people who send you their songs, they get used to the drum part. They've been hearing it for a long time. So I learned that, give them what they've been listening to, and then I'll send them another take where I start adding what I think would be better. And I send them a lot of times. Well, I used to send 3 takes. I send 2 takes, and I might have a discussion, and then I send it back. I have them send me, if they don't send me the Pro Tools files, people listening, that's a digital format for recording music. And when they send me a Pro Tools file, I can open up, and there's the bass, the guitars, the vocals, and the drum
tracks.
Yeah. And then I have a template of, let's say, 12 to 18 mics, and we bring that template into their session. So now you have all my drums, and I record and I send it back. Now, if they don't have Pro Tools, they'll send me like an MP3 of the demo with the drums. Then I say, give me the MP3 without the drums, because that's what I'm going to play to, and give me the click track, which is the metronome that they recorded to. And the reason why I want them to record to a click track, because, man, if you're trying to chase people's tempos that are all over the place, it never works, or rarely it works. And the next thing I'll ask them is, are you keeping anything that I'm playing to? because a lot of times the guitars are rushed or vocal might be rushed or it's not totally in time. And if they say they are not, I take the music and put it way down. I play right on the click and they overdub everything to me.
That that's like totally changed your business. Like, I was just I have a friend who was talking with somebody from Huey Lewis and the News, and he had a studio in his house. Same thing. They send me everything I need. I put it all together. I mean, it's just amazing that the technology. When I started my podcast and my voiceover business, I was using Pro Tools, but that is not the right thing for us. That's for you guys because it's complicated, but it allows you to add in whatever. And I actually got to watch my producer at the time put my theme song together, which has like 8 or 9, 10 layers, and it's just amazing to watch that happen. So
it is. I'm not
send that to you.
I'm not the engineer. I hire an engineer because when something goes wrong, oh my God, I don't know what. I mean, I just don't look at. I'm recording so much. I am so busy. It says it on my book. Must be true. Sex, drums, rock and roll, the hardest work. No, it's the hardest hitting man showbiz. But really, I wanted to say the hardest working man. But that was James Brown's line, so we didn't do it.
Oh,
but
right.
I'm a workaholic, so I work 7 days a week, 7 nights a week. And so I don't have time to learn Pro Tools. But you touched on something that's very, very, very valid. I read something where humankind, over the millions of years has adapted and survived from tools and technology. Tools and technology, it was the wheel, fire, and so so I adapted when the budgets went. I created my own studio. When COVID hit, my studio, I adapted into a TV studio so I could do virtual speaking because I knew can't go to these big conferences. Sure. And I did. I adapted and had to learn all this technology, Pro Tools, Digital Performer, lights, 4 TV monitors, cameras, you name it. And I was able to pull off doing virtual speaking from there. And once again, tools and technology, I adapted. I adjusted to the system, to the environment I was in.
You have to roll with it.
You have to. I call it adapt or die. Adapt or die. Wait a minute.
I don't know where your comfortability level is with this, but for those of the people that are watching or have seen Kenny in places, what's the secret, dude? Like, you're not young anymore. Let's say that.
Yeah.
You look like a 40-year-old. I mean, what the hell? Yeah. What are you using on your skin? That's what I need to know. But
I put cream on my every day. I put after I shave and I put, sunblock stuff, Olay from CVS, and then I put eye stuff. I've been doing that since 1994. At night I put stuff on. I also eat pretty damn good. I'd say my only vices are coffee, and I'll drink wine and have some whiskey. But other than that, I eat pretty healthy. I mean, I start the day with a water, lemon juice, and apple cider vinegar, which it's really good for you before you have coffee. Then if I'm really kicking butt, I have a fresh squeezed celery juice, which takes inflammation out of your body, and it's really good for you. And then I make a shake, which I made, but I haven't finished yet. And in there is blueberries, a cup of blueberries. I know.
What's in that? It looks like a spittoon from a tobacco deal.
It's a coconut milk with no sugar in it. And it's a cup of blueberries, which is great for your immune system. A huge tablespoon of peanut butter, or you put nuts in it. The sugar and the fat cut your appetite down. And then I put a very healthy protein powder, green food, and I put in some fish oil. And fish oil is good for about, 30 different organs in your body. And so I'll start with that. Then I'll have the coffee, or vice versa. I'll have the coffee, then that. And then, I'm aware of diet, and,
I need to get aware of diet, but I also think what I'm learning from people that I've been talking to and visiting with is once you commit to shaving the head, then the age thing is no longer, nobody knows how old you are.
No gray.
I'm only 29. Look at this thing. That's stress. I wish I was 29. But no, I'm telling you, man, you look good. Whatever you're doing is working. So now tell me this. At any point in your, I mean, do anything for an entire song, or whether it be guitar, drums, whatever. Drums getting a workout. How the hell do you do it? Like a whole concert? I mean,
Oh,
are you
that's
just
nothing.
falling down
Oh,
dead?
with Fogerty, we should do 4 hour sound checks, then a 2.5 hour concert. And I was playing full. Yeah, no, it's like I'm not tired ever. I train. I have a gym in my gym house. I have a gym. I've been working out. Well, first of all, even in high school, I was a three letterman jock by the time I was a sophomore. So I've always been into staying fit and in shape. You know what I mean? I just always have. It's a lifestyle. And
Yeah.
then I started to get a trainer in 1994, and I learned all about diet and supplements, and so I've made it a lifestyle now. To get ready for I'm going to play with the Bodines. I leave Thursday, so every day I do like a 30. Well, it's an hour. I do an hour of practicing. I have a 30-minute routine that it points at exactly every skill I need to sound great, and then I continue to keep my endurance, and then I do cardio, and yeah, I mean you got to stay in shape, man.
I'm telling you, dude. I hope to be half as able when I get to be older.
Yeah,
I hope to be. I'm half as able now. So it's
yeah,
frightening because I'm just at that point where I'm starting to look at diet and X because I really,
shit.
I'm turning that corner. But you showed the music sheets there. So you're going to go play with the Bodines this weekend, and then you're going out with Fogerty the next weekend or whatever.
Yeah,
What are
yeah.
they? How do you know all the songs? Like, I mean, I can remember to sing some, but there's no.
No, no. That's why I learned to read and write. Now, Fogerty, I got all that memorized because I've been doing it for a long time. The Bodines, I have those a chart for every song, and I put it into an iPad, and I have a foot switch that'll advance, so I can look at the, because I did Kings of Chaos, which was with Dee Snider, Jack Blades from Night Ranger and and Damn Yankees, and then there was what's his name from Cheap Trick, Robin Zander. So I had 15 songs I had to learn from these guys, and then we did Zeppelin, we did Guns N' Roses, we did Rat songs, and they're changing tempos day of the show, and they're changing arrangements. I write all that out. I write everything out so that, and these guys, man, they love me because I make, I just pretty flawless.
Set it and
And
forget it. They don't have to babysit you. You're
yeah,
just
and
doing
I
it.
can't, and you're right, I can't memorize that stuff. The Kennedy Center honors, you're honoring like Paul McCartney, you're playing with Sting and Bruce Springsteen and Mellencamp and Melissa Etheridge and one after another. The President of the United States up there, it's one of them. It is the Super Bowl. The pressure. Everybody in that band has to be able to read like a mofo because
Yeah,
they're making changes. It's reading, reading and writing and reading and writing. There's no
that's impressive.
no
Because
two ways about it.
looking at your website, you've worked with everybody. I'm blown away, and it's funny because we have people on. It's like, oh, you've worked with a lot of people, but it's like you have. I mean, from
Yeah.
the Beatles and whatnot on down. I saw Trace Atkins on there.
Yeah.
Celine Dion. It's funny because I bought my wife a thing when Celine had the deal in Vegas.
Yeah.
Everybody laughed at me. Oh, you're gonna go see Celine because I'm not a.
She's good.
Oh my God, it
She's
was
good.
life changing, and of course, when you have that budget in Vegas and you can do what you
Yeah.
want, they got people flying through the air and
Yeah.
it blew me away. It was ridiculous. But
Yeah.
I noted her on there, but I also saw that you were worked with Kelly Clarkson. Is she all she's cracked up to be? Everybody seems to love her.
You know what? There's a lot of sessions these people don't show up. Celine Dion never showed up to the sessions I was doing. Kelly Clarkson wasn't there either, but
I mean,
they didn't show up. I was on tour with Michelle Branch once, and I did her first two records. And I'm on tour with her, and I flew from Philadelphia at 7:30 in the morning, flew to LA, got off the plane, got a rental car, and I was recording by 12 noon. I did 13 songs and got back on a plane and flew back to New York to do some morning show with Michelle Branch. 8 Alanis Morissette songs, she wasn't there. 1 Melissa Etheridge song, she wasn't there. 2 Anastasia songs, she wasn't there. Gwen Stefani song, she wasn't there. And I think it was Goo Goo Dolls, they weren't there. 13 songs, bam, 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 bam. Never saw anybody, got back on the plane, took off.
but you're just playing to a track, and
Playing,
so why do you got to go there then? Why couldn't you just do it at home in your studio?
No, I was on tour and I didn't have
Oh,
that studio then. So, and the thing is, that's Okay, so each one of those artists would normally have to pay for this big room. It was the same producer that was producing all of them. And when the budgets changed, this is what they do. They'd say, all right, let's get Kenny and do as many songs as possible. And it'll only be one day in that big expensive room to get that big drum sound. That's the other stuff they could do in a small. This producer had his own work studio, and it's his own studio, and he wouldn't have to pay for another room. It was one day, 5 artists. That's how they save money. And
Oh,
and so I get paid per song, but he was saving, I mean, 5 artists, that's 2,500 times 4 he didn't have to pay.
wow.
So I was that's why they did it that way. And I have cartage companies, they deliver my drums, are all set up. They used to bring like 100 snare drums, 3 bass drums, 250 cymbals, percussion. I mean, I sometimes have 3 drum kits set up in 3 different locations around town and go from one studio to another.
We have
Same
like
with Nash.
people managing you. Like, how do you keep it all straight, man?
Well, the cartage companies, I'd call them up, tell them where to bring it, who to bill, and pick it up. I have people paying all my bills. I have somebody, an accountant, money manager person who handles all my bills, and every financial decision I make, I go through. I've got a guy who handles my investments, and we all 3 have meetings sometimes. Then I have another manager that handles certain things. And I just have to, I have to job it out. I can't do it all.
You
I
have to,
cannot.
you've got the music, which is amazing in itself, and you got the book, which you just did the audio version of the book. Now,
Yeah.
You're punching my cord here. This is my deal. I listen to these things. I drive for,
Yeah.
another job I have. I drive all morning and I listen to these books. And I tell you, I just finished the McConaughey one, which.
Oh, I bet it's
Oh my
good.
God, McConaughey's amazing.
He's amazing.
But then I saw Danny Trejo came out with a book. I'm like, I got to hear Danny Trejo.
You got to hear his voice.
So I'm going to listen to Danny. Well, Danny Trejo doesn't read so well. No offense,
Okay,
Danny.
check this out. So
on his own book.
Really hard to read. And you know what the company did? The stupid people, they recorded my book without my voice. It was during COVID. They thought I went.
Oh, so
no,
they hired a voiceover guy?
Yeah, but they always knew I was going to record it, and they did it anyway. And I went, no freaking. It's on my contract that I have to approve that they just did it. It was stupid. Almost
be there.
Well, so I did it. I paid for my engineer. We did it in my studio.
How do you like it?
It was very difficult, very difficult. And what I did is I realized if they're willing to record my audiobook with somebody else, I better hand in a finished product because what I was worried is you hand in something that's 85% done. They might go, that's good enough and put it out. So I had my engineer edit between every single line of a 330-page book. And, sometimes it'd be a pause longer because I made a big statement. And I would do one chapter. And if I made a mistake or I felt I was speaking too loud or something, I'd keep going over that line. And we eventually get to a chapter. Then I'd leave the room. He'd clean it up. Then I'd come back and listen to it. And I'd find mistakes or I thought the phrasing was wrong. Sometimes it would take 9 hours to get through 17 pages.
Yeah.
And then once we got, what I'm talking about. Then once I got the whole book done, I went back and listened to the beginning and my voice had changed. So I had to redo the intro and I had to redo chapters and then we mixed it. And so I handed in a finished product. And when the product came out and you can hear an audio version on like audio books, my engineer went, they didn't do anything. It was exactly what I figured. They weren't going to do anything. They put it out the way I sent it. And, so.
That brings up a question. I have one of my businesses is voiceover. I do some audio stuff. I haven't done any, stuff at that level yet for someone like yourself. But my question to you is, Bert, Bert Kreischer, he's a comedian. Anyway, he did his, as he did his book, he would ad lib shit in the middle of the book that's not even in the book, and they let it in. But I'm wondering how.
They wouldn't let me.
So how hard is that? Like you're going through something because it's your story, and you're like, oh, I should add this, and they wouldn't let you add it because the book's out. And now
Well, the reason why it was okay is because I edited every single word, every single sentence in that book. I edited it.
written.
That was written,
Okay.
and then when I got with the editor, I edited what he did. It was one of the most difficult projects. It was 4.5 year project,
Wow.
and it was really, really difficult. I didn't like the way it was coming out, so I would spend 14 hours on a day off on tour, trying to um, edit one chapter, and I had to learn how to be a writer, and it took a long time. But I wanted it in my voice,
Or you have to. You have to.
So I mean,
Unless you're Danny Trejo, then find someone else with that voice because the guy's
yeah, I mean,
amazing. His resume is about as long as yours, but
yeah,
not book reader. Let's say that.
dude, that's a hard job, man. And you gotta have patience, man. It's frustrating.
Oh,
It's
it's
very
really, especially for
frustrating.
somebody like yourself who's used to fast pace with the drumming and
Yeah,
music, and then you got to slow down because a lot
yeah,
of times that's a problem I have when I'm voicing a book or a long explainer thing. Is I talk fast. I'm
yeah.
get it over with, but
Yeah, exactly. And as you well know, the breathing part and how
uh,
you project and the last word should have some ending and not just trail off. Oh man, there's so much stuff I learned
people that
from
have
that.
no idea how important that last word is because
Yeah,
it
it
tells the
is.
whole story. It's the last word.
It's you don't go, I went to the store. I went to the store. I didn't go, I went to the store. What?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's
Do you know how much
weird.
I paid a voice coach to teach me that? And
I should have
he
I
still
probably
scratches his
should have got probably should have gotten one, but I learned through the process of like, wow.
Oh yeah, man, it's
Well,
awesome.
my engineer, I should say my engineer was the one that was critique. He was like, nope, you got to do it again. You're slurring. Nope, 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 nope. So he's a producer, so he works with singers, so he
That
knew.
definitely helps to have them right there on the ready for
Yeah,
sure. I mean,
yeah.
'cause a book can be a challenge. But on top of the book, now tell me about rockdcoffee.com. You got what is it? Kabam.
Kabam.
How
You
does
know,
that happen now? I love the idea. I love coffee. I live for coffee.
me too. Somebody approached me about it, and I originally was going to call, K.A., Kenny Aronoff, K. I thought I want to be like Batman, kabam. And actually, the first version was kaboom, but they found out that was toilet bowl cleaner.
Oh, hey,
Yeah,
we
so
can't take that.
yeah. So then and so they that hasn't really even been promoted, right? But you can get this at what did I say it was? It was like
It's
you can get it
rock
rock,
the letter D coffee.com.
yeah.
Yep.
Rock the no coffee with coffee
Oh,
CO, I think.
oh, there you go.
Yeah, it's rockdcoffeeco.com.
There you go.
And it's in a Brazilian, it says espresso. You can get beans or ground. It's really badass.
Here's my question, because I owned a coffee shop one time.
Yeah.
What a stupid idea that was. I don't want to get
Yeah.
into it. I'm still licking those wounds. But I was in South Pottery Island back when the internet was something you went to find. It wasn't just everywhere. And I went to this coffee shop to get my coffee, and because I figured I should buy one because I'm going to use their internet. And I go in there, and the guy's like, whatever. And I saw they had the Jamaican Blue Mountain, whatever. I'm like, I want to try that one.
Yeah.
Brings it over. It took him a long time. It was no Starbucks. I mean, it took a little bit. He brings this stuff over to me and he sets it down. And I'm like, what do I owe you? He goes, make sure you enjoy the coffee first and then you can pay. I'm like, oh.
Wow.
I put the seatbelt on, sat down, and just was blown away by the coffee. I mean, and whatever it was, but it's
Yeah.
like, how do you get that? Like, is that what you have? I mean, I don't want, obviously.
Well, they sent me a whole bunch of different beans
Okay.
and coffees, and I like this one. I didn't have them do one thing to it. It was
So,
Italian roast espresso.
okay.
It's dark, it's full body, it's strong, and that's what I like.
So,
Oh,
because you're a connoisseur, right? We ran us through your ritual already. You know coffee.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
when you got to this, so like, is that your go-to every day? I'm drinking kaboom, kabam.
No, well, I do kabam, but I also have a couple of Nespresso machines, and the double espresso is really good. So it's either one or the other. Yeah, they're both good.
How has it been? How long has it been around first?
It's been around a couple of years. They didn't promote it really right yet, so it's been around. It's just a thing. They still I videoed and filmed promotion before the COVID hit, and we still haven't really technically release it. So I'm going to start doing a campaign at some point. I got so many things going on, you know, this
That's
whole,
what I was
and
gonna say. Like,
I got so much going on, so many projects. Modern Drummers put out a series of books called the Legends
yeah,
series, and they're doing one on me, and it's 150 pages of, like, I did 4 covers for Modern Drummer plus Up and Coming before I was a celebrity drummer, I guess. So all those articles there's 19 transcriptions of songs, everything from Cinderella to the Buddy Rich Big Band to Tony Iommi to Mellencamp to Puddle of Mud to Rod Stewart, you name it. And there's a story with each one of those. No, it's like 20 something songs now, 22.
this is in the article.
It's in the book. It's a book.
So it's
And
a
there's
book, and are they a whole chapter
pictures.
on you or a whole thing?
No, the whole book is me.
Oh my gosh.
It's 150 pages of Kenny Aronoff. And
Yeah.
I've got pictures of my original charts of Blaze of Glory. I
Oh,
have
the
that from
movie.
Bon Jovi. Because
I love that movie.
I did the soundtrack with John Bon Jovi. I did Blaze of Glory, the song. It was one of the hits. Belinda Carlisle, Heaven on Earth. And those charts are in the book. You see my handwritten charts.
Why? Okay, so you got that, you got the cuff, you got the tour with the, I mean, are you just your wife's got to be like, come on, dude, come home. What are you doing? You go constantly. You're
Yeah.
married? I don't even know. I'm just
Oh
assuming.
yeah, and no, yeah. Well, you know what? Yeah, that's just the way I'm wired. You know, take it or leave it. And
Crap.
I'm always working on new speeches. I have the speaking business, and man, I mean, it's a lot of work. You know, I've had writers work with me, then I got to learn them, and I shoot myself to do a Zoom video of me, and I practice making the moves. I'll do that today.
How
Oh
is
my
the
God.
speaking? Like what is like that's a big segment on your that's pretty much your whole website front page is the speaking. What are we talking about? Are you just going through what you've been through, or are you talking about the team concept, or what are you after there with the public speaking?
It's definitely a team, and I have an agent, by the way, that books this. It's first of all, it's not as easy as people think it is. To really put together a 45-minute hour show is very, very, it's a lot of work. And the basic overall takeaway is it's about being a team player, but within that concept is being able to connect and communicate with people so that you can collaborate. So that's one thing. And so that's like me going to do an Elton John session. I got to go right to the guy, start connecting. We have to connect on an intimate level so that we can collaborate and get that value of music. You can't just show up and be cold. It's way better if you, and I'm great at this. So I talk about that. And then the next thing is being innovative and creative for every artist I'm with. And whatever that means, whether it's my drum parts or my feel or my sound, it's coming up with ideas. We solve problems with creativity, and everybody in the room has to contribute. And the next thing is staying relevant, adapting and adjusting some of the stuff we were talking about to stay relevant in the business you're in.
For sure.
When I walked in to do Jack and Diane, and the guy had a metal box and he called it a Lin 1 drum machine, I was like, are you friggin' kidding me? I'm being replaced by a machine. Well, I grabbed the machine and I grabbed the manual and I programmed it. And then I learned about technology on the spot, Pro Tools and all this stuff. I got my own studio. When the pandemic hit, I turned my studio into a TV studio so I could do virtual speaking. That's adapting to the situation to stay relevant. And it's going to think about it, LPs to cassettes, to CDs, to mini discs, to downloading, eventually subscription and YouTube, which means music's for free. That's technology changed in our industry. But the fourth nugget and the biggest thing I emphasize is understanding that life is short and it's very, very valuable for somebody to understand who they are and why they're here. Why are you here? When you operate from a place of this is who I am, this is truly who I am. It's not up here, it's down here. You know, words are ideas, but feelings are the truth, and feelings and the truth are your soul, your being. That's who you are. And when you act on that, you'll be unstoppable, undeniable, and authentic. See, I'm the guy that can't wait to wake up in the morning and do what I do. I'm also the guy that doesn't want to turn the lights off at night because I'm doing what I like doing. It's endless. So that's the secret. So I lay all that out on people by telling my story. And so they will remember it's not just putting like a graph on the, I don't do graphs, and I don't do these like you're in school at a lecture. No, the story is what will embed the point I'm trying to make in their mind and in their heart. The
Man,
story. The story.
unbelievable. I'm inspired now. I'm feeling like I gotta take all this in. I gotta try the coffee. Well, I've heard most of the songs, I think. I don't know.
Yeah, you probably have.
Most of the songs. That's awesome. But so what's next? Like you said that you've got a tour with Satriani next year. You've got the Bodines and Fogarty this year. And you continuing to speak. Are you finding that's mostly like corporate things where
Yeah.
big companies are bringing you in to do that? And then we've got the coffee. What else?
Yeah, they go through my agent or my. Oh man, I got a drum book that I got talked into doing that is turned into, oh my God. It's basically a beginner intermediate book, but I recorded 12 songs, 12 different styles of drumming. So I'm doing everything from Herbie Hancock, Maiden Voyage, to the Allman Brothers, Midnight Rider, to Stevie Ray Vaughan, to a Mellencamp song, to La Freak by Chic. And so I'm being extremely particular about executing exactly the vibe I want to execute. The idea is to show people. It's kind of what I've done in my career. I mean, I recorded with the Highwaymen. That's Johnny Cash, Willie Nelson, Christian Stapleton, Waylon Jennings, the greatest country artists ever. So I played a certain way when I played with them. Not the same way I played when I went on tour with the Smashing Pumpkins. Not the same when I recorded with the Buddy Rich Big Band, or when I played with Leonard Bernstein playing Sibelius Fifth Symphony, one of the greatest timpani parts ever written. It's a total different. It's like I'm an actor that does method acting and gets into the role of what that music and style is. And
nobody else does that, do they? I mean, nobody.
I don't know anybody who's done the Buddy Rich Big Band and worked with Leonard Bernstein with the #1 student orchestra in the world, and then played with Mellencamp, and then is jumping over to Tony Iommi from Sabbath, and it's just
tell me about Cash and Waylon. I mean, come on.
Yeah, those guys they're authentic. There's no jive. There's no bullshit. These are the real guys. I mean,
so is it like a jam session, or like where do you meet up with them? How does that happen?
It was a recording session.
That's it.
An album. It was a Highwaymen record. It's like just any other session, except you have 4 lead singers.
And you didn't tour with them or anything. You just
they asked me to tour.
Why didn't you? Oh man.
There's 3 why didn't I's. I didn't do the Highwaymen Rec tour. I didn't do Elton John tour, and I didn't do a Mick Jagger tour.
Ouch. It's all right, because you did 75 other ones that were pretty damn good too. So you're not missing any strides.
No.
So do you think you learned a lot from working with Mellencamp and his way of delivering and his message? I mean, because there's a lot of people, especially nowadays, that how America's just been pussified, where everybody's so soft. Where you come in and say, this is what I want you to do. And if you perform, very Belichick-like, if you perform, there will be success. But you don't see that anymore. Christ, they won't even say anything because they don't want to hurt your feelings.
Dude, I am so on that page. And in the part of my book where I talk about, I don't believe in laziness. I don't believe in entitlement. And I don't believe everyone should get a trophy for just showing up. I don't. I says that does not teach you to be great at what you're going to do. You can't get things handed to you. You have to learn. You have to learn to go after what you want. And and I told my kid, the 2 bits of advice I gave my kid, who's 36 now, I said, listen, just go through life thinking you're on your own. Don't look for handouts. Of course, I got your back. I'm your dad. But the point is, when you go at it that approach and you become responsible for yourself, you are taking care of yourself. If everybody could take care of themselves, the world would be amazing. Now, not everybody can take care of themselves, but when they're teaching people to not take care of themselves, that's bringing the world down. And then if you get people to say, I want what that guy's got, well, then you have to work 12 hours a day, 7 days a week for 10 years or 15 years or 20 years. Right. Well, I don't want to work 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. I just want it. Well, I don't believe you deserve it. You have to earn it. You get it. And it's a crazy time. I think laziness, entitlement is the destruction of society. So I did Mellencamp was the Bill Belichick. I was Tom Brady. There's no question. I am so grateful that I grew up with discipline, rules and regulations, accountability. If you do something wrong, or if you get a D in a paper, a D, most likely you deserve a D. I mean, I heard this crazy story of some girls in college, and the girl puts her hand up and says to the teacher, I got a D on my paper. And it's a pretty big college, like Baylor or something in Texas. The teacher went, you got a D because you did D work. I don't think I should get a D. Calls her mom up on the phone. Walks up. This is college. If I called my mom up and said, will you talk to my teacher? She would have hung up on me. She says,
on her way down there to beat your ass.
yeah, you got a D because you didn't. What's wrong? What did you do wrong? Why didn't you get an A? That's what they would have done. So they taught me to fight for what you want. And sometimes you strike out, but that's all part of the learning process.
Yeah. I totally agree.
You can't. I know you do. I can tell. But
it's the damn ribbon, the participation ribbon that everybody gets. Now we're all soft. I don't want anybody to have any feelings. Don't, it's a whole nother deal. And then you meet someone like yourself who's working 24/7, 7 days a week, all the way around.
Still working that way.
I know. I'm very jealous. You're killing it, man. I love it. I'm thinking about traveling out to see you with the Bodines this weekend. I don't know.
Yeah, come on up. You'll watch how intense I am at just slicing right through butter with a knife. Bam.
So, but you said all of the Bodines tracks.
Well, I'm reading too. I know all the songs, but there's new arrangements, and we're also playing with a click now, and there's a lot of stuff involved. And so I just love it. I just love the challenge.
Are you doing the Milwaukee date with them?
I don't think so.
In August?
I think I'm with Fogarty then. Wait a minute. August what?
13th, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, American Family Insurance.
I think I am. Hold on. Yeah, because I just got a plane ticket to go out on the 11th. Let me look real quick on this.
When do you normally come in? Like when you're going to go Thursday?
I usually come in a day before. If I'm going, let's see, what'd you say it was August?
13th. Oh, the Sturgeon Bay one is the county.
No, August 13th is Madison, right?
Not for the Bodines, no.
Ooh, okay. I'm playing with them. I'm flying to Minneapolis, it says.
Where?
On the 12th.
Of August?
Yeah. 13th, I play somewhere. And then 14th, I play somewhere. And then
why are you coming to Minneapolis?
I thought that's what they had me flying. That's what they had me flying into. Wait a minute, is that right? It says fly to Minneapolis. Yep.
Huh. What maybe it's Fogarty. I don't know. I'll check.
Hold on. I don't even know. Tell me what I'm doing. No, it says Bodines. It says Bodines.
Huh. All right. I'll look that one up. That's in my backyard. Hell yeah. So anyway, we've covered it all, right? I mean, you're a monster. I love it. Who I know you don't like to say, but who's your favorite one to work with? Who's your favorite musician?
Can't answer that. How do I pick between Paul McCartney, Sting, Bruce Springsteen, Elton John, Mick Jagger? Let's see.
Do you have all these people in your phone?
Some of them do. I got Bon Jovi's number. I've got not Mick Jagger's. I don't have Springsteen's. I got Sammy Hagar, one of the great. I did a Chicken Foot tour. That was phenomenal.
Is he as insane as you think he is? Like he seems like a good time.
He's great. He's fun. He's a good guy.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, listen, Kenny, we can't thank you enough for all the time. We're going to wrap this thing up. And we're probably going to have to check in with you down the line. You got so much crap going on. It's constantly evolving. So we'll look you up on KennyAronoff.com if we need to. You can find everything there, the public speaking, the long list of people that he's worked with. And we'll check in with you somewhere down the road, sir. Well, thank you for the time.
Yes. Awesome having me. People can go find me on Instagram. You can follow me. I always post there. And Twitter is Aronoff Official, but it's the same post in both. Facebook, don't ask me to add you as a friend. I tapped out 15 years ago. And then I'm on LinkedIn too. But man, that was also a conversation. Take care, man. You have a great rest of the day.
I'm going to I want to pause this here. Hold on. Oops. We'll what I'll do is I'll get this thing polished up and you know, I clean it up a little bit and get it put
Yeah.
out. You're great, man. You got a lot of shit going on. That's
I
amazing.
know.
I'm
I
inspired.
know.
I wish I had the funding to go check out one of your speeches or whatever you want to call it, public speaking.
Yeah.
Because that's what I'm missing is the
Oh,
whole
you'd
theme of
love that.
I'm gonna
Well,
get the book. Is it in the book?
No, some of that stuff, the speaking came after the book. So, but I mean, I mean, the story kind of depicts, oh, this guy's a hardworking motherfucker. That's what the story is. This guy worked his fucking ass off. I mean, I got rejected and took me 4 consecutive years to get into Tanglewood, which is where I work with Leonard Bernstein. I got rejected 3 years. How many people come back a 4th time? But I got in, and they only took 7 percussionists in the whole world. I mean, it's pretty heavy, man. But that's the story that I just was relentless. That doesn't come from laziness, you
Right.
know.
You can't.
I realize you can't. I realize not everybody's wired like me, but my thing is you have to work your ass off to be the best that you can be. Bottom line.
Right. Yeah. No. And I've been doing this voiceover thing, and I'm just grinding it out in the podcast. We've had the podcast for about 3 years. It's going well. And
How many followers do you have now?
On what? There's such an array of them. We get about a several thousand downloads per episode.
I mean, the thing is yeah, people have been trying to get me to do podcasts for a long time. Still not
You don't
quite.
have time.
I don't have time. It's a lot of work to do it right. That's what I thought. Exactly the same thing.
Well, I'm at the point where it's like I got to bring, you know, and that's what I'm missing because I don't like to delegate. I'm like, I'll just do it myself. I you know what, you know, done.
Right.
Well, and that's especially for yourself is that you have a very creative mind and very musically. But part of it, how do you delegate? How do you, hey, you need to
it's hard. I have to delegate more because a lot of times you delegate it. By the time they ask you so many fucking questions, you could have done it yourself.
Right. But then you're like, you never can grow because you're not expecting.
Yeah. It's a tricky thing. It's a tricky thing.
But,
well, listen, dude, I'm gonna get going and stuff.
Thanks
really
a lot,
nice talking. Awesome,
man. Take care.
All right, bye.
Bye now.